Hi, it's Mr. Skelton, and I want to address a question that a parent gave me recently regarding which hand does what on the instrument. Uh, Violin, viola, cello, bass, unlike an instrument like piano, let's say, um, the hands have very specific functions. We have one thing happening on one side, one thing happening on the other, as opposed to piano. They might be doing different things at different times, but they're all kind of doing the same motion. So in some ways it's easier, in some ways it's harder. It depends on the student. Uh, so I just want to clarify, and it doesn't matter which of those instruments you play. Um, Things happen on with a certain hand. Certain things happen in the left, certain things happen in the right. So the first thing I want to talk about is the rest position. And if you are a violin or a viola player, we have two kinds of rest position. We have sitting rest position, which I'm doing right now. I have my left hand. Now, granted, I'm going opposite what you might be. If you're trying to mirror me, it would look more like this. Okay, this would become my left hand if that were the case. But my left hand happens to be here. My left hand is on the left shoulder of the instrument. So if I'm looking at it from the back, if here's a neck, here's the two shoulders. The left shoulder, just like my left shoulder is to the left of my head, the left shoulder is to the left of the neck here. And it happens to be on my left knee. It's a little hard to see from the angle of the camera, but you can take my word for it. And this is our position when we're sitting. If you happen to have a bow in your hand, you could just hold it normally and just either keep it pointed up or cross your lap. Um, there isn't anything quite as specific as this. This is a very good, safe way to hold your instrument, like not just like leaving on your lap where it might fall off, or holding it, somehow like this where all it takes is I don't know, just a moment's lack of concentration, and off it goes. So it's kind of, the weight of your hand is holding it down. Now, if you're a cello player, uh, your instrument's in front of you, but this is the same kind of thing. The instrument is to the left of your head. So the easiest way to think of it is these pegs, especially the bottom peg. On a cello, it's obviously larger. The bottom peg is kind of right beside your left ear. And of course, this is not a cello, but you can get the general idea from that. For violin and viola players, when it's time to stand to play, and of course we do that in third grade. In fourth and fifth, when we're playing more in an orchestra setting, we will sit more often. But when it's easier to develop good posture when we stand, then we go into standing rest position, which happens to be taking this instrument, move it up a little bit. Apologize for the poor production values here. And I put it against my right hip. This is the only time, and I put my arm over it to kind of cradle it. This is the only time the instrument is ever on the right side. So standing rest position, the instrument is on my right side. But my hand is still on that same shoulder as it was when I was sitting, right? It stays there. That's kind of its place until it's time really to use it. Then when it's time to play, then we can go out to the left, up. Let me see if I can move that a little better. Out, up, and then onto my shoulder. And now everything is back over on the left side. Okay, so when it was in standing rest position, it's kind of like I'm drawing a sword. The violin is mightier than the sword. And then it comes across and over here. The reason it doesn't come here is because it's kind of hard to hold it safely and also bring it up to your left. So we hold it over on this side. If I have a bow, I can sort of hook the bow on my finger like this, or I can just hold it. Usually putting your finger in there is the easiest way, because then you're not going to drop it. My arm is holding the instrument, but my left hand is also there to move it. So it gives me a lot of options where that's concerned. Now, in general, let me come back to camera one here. In general, the instrument is always on the left, and it's our left hand that is what's pressing on the strings. If you've ever played any guitar, most guitar players play this way as well. Now, people do play left-handed. The instruments are designed a little bit better for left-handed players than violins are. Unfortunately, because of the placement of the chin rest and just the overall way the strings are designed, it is actually designed for a right-handed player. But there have been many successful left-handed players too, and it's just a matter of just getting used to it. And actually, my experience has been that children who have difficulty getting in the instrument into the right place, it's not because they're left-handed. That can be a contributing factor, but it's not always because of that. It's just because not used to putting it, and that something like this on your shoulder, so it becomes a little bit more of a problem. So again, the left hand is going to, when it's time to be playing, like say Orange Belt and beyond, it's going to be pressing strings. There are times very, very much later on, more of like a high school age technique where we might be plucking with the left hand, but it's like that's more like a special effect. Most of the time, it's just pressing the strings, and you can hear it's not making any really big sound with that. All of the sound comes from the right hand, whether it's with the bow or with plucking. So if I'm doing pizzicato, let's say if I'm doing Jim Along Josie, as you saw in the Orange Belt video, I press the string and pluck with my right hand. Press the string with the left, pluck with the right, or whatever note that I happen to be playing. If I use my bow, even for the same note, I press the string and move the bow. Right? So this is where the sound comes from, and this is your left hand is what selects the note. Okay, so they have two different functions, and that division of labor, so to speak, in other words, putting one job in one hand and one job in the other, is what makes violin and violoncello so effective, or any really stringed instrument for that matter, because you can get a lot of flexibility with the amount of notes you play and that kind of thing. So the complicated part of it is there are two different techniques. There's a technique of what you use in your left hand and the technique of what you use in your right. And technique is just a fancy word for skills. And you hear it a lot in music, so you might as well get used to saying it, and it makes it sound really, really sophisticated to use words like that anyway. So I hope that clarifies things. Left hand is all about in the instrument, the left side of the instrument. If you're cello, again, it's just pressing the strings. Right hand is all about either using the bow or doing the plucking. Okay, but instrument is always on the left, and even in rest position, it's on the left. The only time when it's on the right, as I said, for violin and viola, in standing rest position, it happens to be on my right side at that point. And if I ever have to walk around, this is how I would hold it also, is on that right side, because it cradles it very, very nicely, and I can take my hand off of it if I need to, but most of the time my left hand on the left shoulder, on the left knee, so that I can go either to here or I can go to here, and this stays in that spot until I need to use it for something else. So I hope that helps, and please feel free to comment, ask me more questions on this. I'm here to help your child learn. Right? Take care.